Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have an update to share about two of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 29-year-old Cody Mattice and 30-year-old James Mault are friends from New York, and they were already planning violence before arriving in D.C. In a January 5th text message to Mattice and others, Mault suggested that they bring batons, pepper spray, helmets, eye protection, and, quote, ass-kicking boots to D.C. On January 6th, Mattice texted his fiance, and he said, quote, "We're getting ready to march on Capitol Hill." And in a video that Mattice recorded on the way to the Capitol, he was heard saying, quote, "It's about to be nuts." So they were planning for this. And Mattice was also seen in other videos ripping police barricades away from officers. He then threw one of the barricades on the ground, which prosecutors say allowed the mob to advance forward on the police officers. Later, he was seen within the restricted area of the Capitol grounds with a bright red face. He had been hit with pepper spray. And Mattice claimed on video that he didn't want to fight anyone, and he was just pushed into the officers. But he told the camera person that he approached the officers and, quote, "I was saying I had salt for my pepper, and they sprayed me with more pepper." So then James Mault was seen and heard on video praising Mattice for confronting the officers. And he told him in part, quote, "You fucking took it like a man. You want more pepper. I fucking love you, dude." So at some point, these two took their bromance over to the Lower West Tunnel, and Mattice was recorded standing on the ledge outside of the tunnel, and he was reaching in, spraying officers inside of that tunnel with pepper spray. So you're not going to be surprised to hear this isn't Matisse's first run-in with the popo. According to news outlets, Mattice has had several interactions with his local police, and a traffic stop ended with him under arrest for domestic disturbance. As for Mault, he served in the New York Army National Guard from 2016 to 2020, and in June of 2021, he re-enlisted in the Army after he was fired from his job over his involvement in the Capitol attack. So I guess the military is just desperate and they're willing to take anyone nowadays. Anyway, Mault was also seen on video standing on the ledge of the tunnel, and he was also spraying officers. He sprayed them actually with multiple canisters of chemicals. Mault was also seen handing another can of some sort of chemical spray to January 6th defendant David Dempsey, who then used it to spray the officers. He had a better position on the ledge. However, when the FBI interviewed Mault on January 18th of last year, he denied assaulting anyone while he was at the Capitol. Then he told the agents that he only wore a hard hat to the Capitol to protect him from Antifa attacks. And he said that he saw other members of the mob attacking officers and damaging property. So he was fine throwing other people under the bus, but yeah, he was totally an angel. And then when he was shown a photo of Cody Mattice, Mault denied knowing who he was. He said he didn't know his name, had no idea who the guy was. So the FBI subpoenaed their phone records, and they found that Mault and Mattice had communicated multiple times the day after the Capitol attack. So they knew they were clearly friends, that they knew each other. As with Mattice, Mault also has a criminal history. In 2018, he was convicted of driving under the influence. So both Mault and Mattice were arrested on October 7th of last year. Mattice was indicted on charges of 2 counts of civil disorder, 2 counts of assaulting officers, one of which had an increased penalty for use of a dangerous weapon, obstructing an official proceeding, entering restricted grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon, 2 counts of disorderly conduct. One of those also had an increased penalty for a deadly or dangerous weapon, and also 2 counts of physical violence. Same there. One also had an increased penalty for the deadly or dangerous weapon. Mault was indicted for civil disorder, just 1 count, assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon, obstructing an official proceeding, entering restricted grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon, 2 counts of disorderly conduct. Also, one had the increased penalty, and the 2 counts of physical violence, also with one with an increased penalty for the dangerous weapon. In April of this year, they each pleaded guilty to 1 count of assaulting officers with physical contact or intent to commit another felony. That's key because that increases the penalty. So they were each facing up to 8 years in prison, up to 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. Prosecutors, though, were requesting 44 months behind bars. That is toward the higher end of the federal sentencing guidelines, and they wanted 36 months of probation for each of them. U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell presided over these men's cases, and she laid into them. In court, she said, quote, "These defendants deliberately took aim at police officers guarding the tunnel, trying to stop hundreds of aggressive rioters from entering the Capitol through that entrance, and they attacked the officers with a dangerous weapon." And then Judge Howell noted that, quote, "They maintained some sort of delusional belief that they were the patriots. They were not patriots on January 6th. And no one who broke the police line and stopped the democratic process was a patriot that day." Now, according to journalists who took part in the hearing, both Mault and Mattice were sobbing as the judge handed down their sentences. There's no word. I didn't see anything as to what they may have said, but when all was said and done, the judge gave the prosecutor everything that they asked for. Both Mault and Mattice were sentenced to 44 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and they were each ordered to pay a $2,000 restitution fee. So I wonder if Matisse's fiance is going to wait for him for almost 4 years. And I also wonder if they've figured out yet that they were just pawns. They were pawns in a game that Trump was in control of. What a waste of 4 years of your life for a man who doesn't even know your name and never gave a damn about you. It's ridiculous. And the reason I bring up his fiance is because when he told her that they were storming the Capitol, she was like, "Oh, that's great, babe. You know, great to hear you're having fun." Is he having fun now? Anyway, guys, I will let you know when and if I hear any more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.